Welcome back to the channel, folks. About 90% of you watch this channel because you love square bodies and square body content. So I want to introduce to you Titan. That is the C10 on the left. That is my dad's truck. It's a 1984 C10 with a 454 pulled from a bus. My dad wants me to get working on that truck as soon as possible. I need to replace the floorboard and rocker panels, but as you all know that I work at a snail's pace. So if you need more square body content, go over and watch ATP Customs. ATP has his own shop and he builds vehicles for himself and for customers. And then there is JD Offline. JD is like me, he works out of his garage. He has a couple of builds going on. He's nearing the completion of a square body right now, so go over and check that out. Now back to Frankie. Frankie's been sitting under a large oak tree for about 3 months, so let's bring it over to the car wash. And you finally get some nice rolling shots of Frankie also. We're here to install the rear bumper on Frankie, but I don't know if you can see in the video, Frankie is sitting about a ½ an inch lower on the driver's side. Something's wrong with the leaf spring, and I'm tired of messing with it, trying to figure out what's wrong with it. So I decided we're just gonna put some air shocks in there to help level it out. I know this is just a band-aid, these air shocks, but it will let it sit level, and later on I'm gonna put coilovers on the back anyway, so this is just something to get us by until I can get those coilovers installed. The bumper that we have chosen to put on Frankie is designed to fit a 2014 through 2018 Chevrolet C2500. We held up the bumper and test fit it to the body of Frankie, and over here in the corners, it's where it's rubbing. So we're gonna trim these corners here so as it will fit into Frankie. I didn't dream up fitting this bumper on my own. I was looking at pictures on Instagram and I saw another truck that looked very similar to Frankie. It even is that Nordo gray, but it had the modern bumpers on it. I call them modern bumpers. It's 2014 to 2018. Modern enough. Frankie is a 1988, so much more modern than Frankie is. In the clip you just watched, I was cutting out these brackets. This is a tab that I ordered online, and in order to save these for a later date, I just placed these on the metal and I cut around it with the plasma cutter. These also have 9/16 holes. I need ½ inch holes for the shocks, and I have them stacked up on here in this little vise. The vise is not bolted down, no. And in order to get that hole drilled through all 4 of these at the same time, I just place a washer on here. I'm going to mark the center, drill through with a 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, and ½ inch. You don't want to go with just a 1/2 inch. It may get through once, but that's it. The drill bit will be burnt after that. So step it up. It'll help your bits last longer. I'm going to drill these 4, which are the top mounts. And then I'm going to take these off, put on the other 4 that are going to be the bottom mounts. The 4 mounts like this are going to be for the bottom of the air shocks, which I'm going to weld onto the axle. Also, don't forget your oil, drilling oil. Really, you can use any kind of oil. I have this old oil laying around. I just poured it in here. I dipped a bit in it. I've already drilled this, but that also helps your bits last much longer. All right, as I stated earlier, this is how it's going to mount up top to a cross member. This is where it's going to mount on the frame. I'm going to have to just buff them up a little bit, clean them up so I can get a good clean weld. This is the air shock, of course, and I can't find a name brand on it anywhere. I just took my measurements, I went online and I ordered it, and I can't even find a name brand on the box. So I hope they last just long enough for me to save up some money and get some coilovers to put on the back of here, and we'll just move forward from there. After a whole lot of cursing, the air shock is installed on the driver's side. I put some pressure in there. You can see it's kind of swole here. I have 150 psi in there. I was hiding behind the tire on that side, airing it up, because I didn't know if this thing would explode or not. I don't know how much pressure this thing takes. I installed the driver's side and put pressure in there because that's the side that's low. Put up our level, and it's in the black lines, but it's funny how if I drop it down about 1/8 of an inch, then it's perfectly centered in the line. It's funny that the human eye can see just that 1/8 of an inch difference. It's kind of irritating. That's why in a couple of months, maybe, if I get some more money, we're going to take out these leaf springs and we're going to go coilovers in the back, because then I can adjust the height exactly where I want it. Now let's get this bumper installed. What trimming is needed to get this to fit? Here's just a little plastic lip that runs on the inside. That was rubbing. Right here the metal is not in the way, but whenever we stand it up, so we need to follow this line and just arch it over and meet with this line. So this is the other side. Nope. This is the other side that I cut. So just flip it over, and that's how we're going to cut this side. And once we trim that, it should fit right in. I just ran the blade along here, and you see once that pops off, there is a piece of metal on the inside I need to chop off. And both sides are done the exact same way. And after this, we are going to test fit it, make sure it fits. Also, the bumper came with these brackets, which I think is pretty cool, and it came with all those bolts, all these nuts and bolts. I probably won't need them, but it's pretty cool that it came with all that. And we have the rear bumper tacked in place. I still need to remove it and weld my brackets on fully. So that's what our clearance looks like. I do need to grind. We need to sand this. We'll sand it by hand and make it look better, because I just cut this with an angle grinder, so it looks pretty bad. But once we sand it by hand, it'll look much better. And there it is. That's a 2014 to 2018 bumper that is on a Chevrolet square body. Like I said, it wasn't my idea. I saw a Instagram photo of a truck that had this. My neighbor just came over offering $15,000 to buy our square body. And I don't know how he never saw it, but we've had this truck for about 8 years and he's never noticed. I guess that's country living. Your neighbors don't really notice what you have in your yard. But embarrassingly, we have more than $15,000 in this. Right now, I want to say we're around 23,000. I know it doesn't look like it, but there's a lot of parts that I have to install that we haven't installed yet. They're just sitting in a room in my house.
If you found the one, you should never give her up. I think it's the way life changes when in love, yeah. I surround my soul with the positivity. That's why I don't worry about the things that I don't see, yeah. These days I don't worry about